Hello folks and welcome, Debian 12, bookworm. So today's video is on the Xfce desktop for Debian, the official release. So you can see my version number and kernel, and don't read too much into the hardware part. It's just one of my computers I use for my production testing. But more importantly, you can get the minimum specs and recommended on either Debian's website or just go look on the internet. But welcome folks, 1920 by 1080 is what I'm filming in today. My video will be more than 2 minutes. All my videos have timelines and chapters. I will also discuss a little bit about tips and tricks. So I'm using a non-standard mouse pointer or cursor today. I just wanted to use a yellow one to do some highlighting. That way you can see me move the mouse around. But more importantly, welcome folks. Let me first give you some information on Debian from DistroWatch. I'm going to resize this on the fly if you don't mind. I'll talk about some of these tips a little bit later. And I'm going to go to the page hit ranking area and click number 5. Not that I use the number at all for any reason. Just the way they have them ranked, so I don't use the popularity at all. But I do like the layout of this. So Debian, so you may have heard these buzzwords that it's Debian based or Ubuntu based or Arch based, or well, this is Debian, the official desktops, whether it's server or desktop. But since I'm doing mostly videos nowadays on desktop, but they do offer server, I'm going to talk about Debian desktop today regarding the Xfce desktop. Xfce desktops are also forgiven on older computers. So it looks like they just updated this, because earlier I downloaded this where it says 7.3 on it, so they're still making changes it looks like. So today's date is 7/4, July 4th, Independence Day in the United States. July 4th, 2023 is when I'm filming this, and it looks like they updated this today. So more importantly, again, they offer server and desktop. So you can go to Debian.org. It's a big community. It's worldwide. And if you're wanting to give this thing a try, you can click the download section. You can try the NetInst ISO, which is a computer image, if you have a 64-bit PC, for Debian 12, codenamed Bookworm. So I downloaded the ISO, burnt it onto a USB stick. You can also do this with DVD. The installation process took about 12 minutes, uneventful. In other words, it went well. Didn't have any problems finding my hardware, and toward the end of the installation, it asked me which desktop I wanted. I downloaded and installed the Xfce desktop. So now I'm going to use Alt and F4 to close the Firefox web browser. And I'll say one more time, welcome. And I will start at the bottom down here on the dock. So we have the minimize all windows icon. We have the terminal emulator icon, the file manager icon, which is Thunar, the file manager, and the web browser, which in this case is Firefox. That's installed. And then we have this thing called Application Finder. It's a very nice tool. I got a shortcut with opening up your tree for your file manager, and then there's some icons for your file manager: home folder, file system, and trash can, and then the panel at the top, applications. Simple screen recorder is what I'm using to record this video. Moving over to the right hand side, we have switch to workspace 1 through 4, the wireless icon thing, the simple screen recorder icon, my volume thing, my battery information thing on my keyboard and wireless mouse, notification thing, calendar thing. Again, this is July 4th, 2023, Independence Day in the US. My user for today is Sam. It's just a made-up name. You can do the lock screen, switch user, suspend, shutdown, and the logout is a multi-function box. You can get this same box, multi-function box, from several locations in the system. One is here in the corner. The other one is just right-clicking on the panel, the top panel, and hit logout. You get the same box. Application menu, last icon is logout. and you can right click on the screen, Application Logout. You can also manually create this box. I'll show you that toward the end of this video, along with making a poor man's web-based icon, if you're curious. I have some tips for you also during this video. Applications menu, run Program Emulator, File Manager, Mail Reader, Web Browser. Under Settings, you got the Settings Manager and all the subcategories. Accessories, all my videos have timelines and chapters also, folks. Graphics, Internet, Multimedia. I added Simple Screen Recorder as an FYI. Office, LibreOffice, a dictionary, and a doc viewer. System, Synaptic Package Manager, and some other tools. You can also use Terminal to install software. About Xfce Logout. Right-clicking on the screen, create launcher, create URLs, or what I call the poor man's web icon. Create folder, document, terminal, all kinds of things, including desktop settings and application submenu. Okay. In wallpapers, standard wallpaper with Debian 12 bookworm, you get 4 of these. You can also download your own images in your file manager and set them as wallpaper. All right, let me talk about a couple of key things about the system. One of them is this application finder, and it's a really nice icon. You can type in what you're looking for. You can also resize these icons. You can double click or you can launch whatever is highlighted. So under preferences, you don't like the size of the icons, you can go to dinky, and you can go to very large, and in between. You're looking for something, click in there and start typing. Okay, and then if you don't know what it is, like through here, for instance, like what this Xfce means, you can try searching in here, EX, and you can see that says edit tags in your audio files. So now you know what that means. Double click or launch. Very nice little tool. Applications menu. Let's walk through some of the settings, maybe. Settings Manager, you got your appearance. 3 styles, 4 icon sets. You can add your own. This mouse pointer or cursor, if you're a subscriber, go to my About section, scroll down to the bottom. You'll find a link to gnome-look.org. You can get about 700 of these things, those mouse pointers and or icon sets. Actually, I think there's 1,000 themes in there, something like that. All right, continuing on, you have fonts. Default is 10. I changed that to 12. It's very easy to do. Same thing goes with dots per inch. You can change that also. May I also suggest for the folks that don't have a good memory is doing screenshots. Very simple tool to use, 3 options. If you don't want to use screenshots, hopefully you got a good memory. All right, window scaling, be careful with that one. There's lots of options in here, folks. Just remember that. So one more time, filming in 1920 by 1080. Lots of options. The default mouse pointer is that one, black one only. The radioactive I added manually. I'll touch upon that in the file manager. Other than that, settings. Applications, settings, shortcuts. Thunar I'll touch a little bit on later. Multimedia. LibreOffice, let me just open this up briefly. This is 7.4.5.1, and you can certainly save that as other type of file formats, including some of those Microsoft Word types. And probably should have used Alt F4, it would have been easier. Let's talk about Synaptic now. So you can also use Terminal to install software. So Synaptic Package Manager has 63,363 packages listed. Usually requires one or more packages to make a piece of software work. 1365 are currently installed. Where's the stuff coming from? The repos? The repos are coming from Debian, bookworm, and the security side from Debian, security side also bookworm. All my videos have timelines and chapters. You can always reverse back on those. Also, don't forget you have a gearbox on your YouTube player in case you want to resize stuff also. You can resize this, and then you can also search by name and other categories. And some things have screenshots and some things don't. So if you click that and get screenshot, if it pulls in, that's great. This one here happens to be a full screenshot, full page. I'm not going to click it, but some things have screenshots and some things don't. If you need to install anything, right click and mark it for install and hit apply. Also, the legends are different from some Synaptic package managers from others. I've seen some of these in blue before instead of green, just to give you that example. So your legends are always sitting here. Synaptic Package Manager. If you're in the sections and all, if you're just wanting to manually install something, right click, mark it for install. If it requires other goodies, hit mark and hit apply. Other than that, Alt and F4, you can install software through your software manager. You normally have to add what current user you have to your SU group, but once you do, you can put in the password for that, and then you can perform actions like that, and it'll upgrade your system. As one example. Exit, exit. What's another way of closing terminal? If you're not doing anything, of course, it'll be easy, which is Alt F4. You can do the same thing with a web browser, file manager, you name it. Speaking of file managers, let me open up Thunar. Let me resize the box this way. So normally you have your views are sitting at normal size. You can also click zoom in and out. You can also do it my way. I'm resizing this on the fly. I'll show you what I'm doing here in a second. So I'm going to give you some extra tips and tricks. Here's one of them. I'm double clicking on the top bar. Doesn't matter where. Click in the corner if you like. Okay, if this doesn't work for you, you can always use this icon right here. All right, let me talk about the normal way of people resizing icons. Under View, click, zoom in, out of normal size. You can also hold down the Control key and hit plus, plus, plus to make it bigger, bigger, bigger. A little humor there, folks. Or zooming out, Control and plus and the minus or negative key, minus, minus, minus to make it smaller, smaller, smaller. And then Control and the 0 will make it normal size. So let me demo some of that. Holding down that Control key, plus, 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 minus, 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 minus. Wow, took a long time. Still holding the Control key, 0 for 100%. Doing it my way, scroll up, scroll back. What do I mean by that? I'm substituting the plus, the negative, and the 0 for my USB-based computer mouse scroll wheel. Holding down the Control key, scrolling up, scrolling back, scrolling up, scrolling back, scrolling in between. All I do is slowly scroll back and forth to get it to the size I want, release the Control key on my keyboard, and now it'll stay in this size. I can open up pictures and take a look at the thumbnails and scroll normally now. The behavior for this file manager is set for double click. I don't like single click. I've been around Linux for over 25 years. I've seen a lot of file managers. Also been around computers for over 30. But more importantly, the developer decided to put that in, along with a lot of Linux distributions on their file managers have adopted the double click. There's a lot of things I can tell you about negative stuff with single click, but I'm not going to talk about that because everybody has a different preference. This is mine. And this developer here for Debian made it double click for Xfce. I'm glad. It affords me to do stuff like this. Spacebar, open and close. Mushroom, spacebar, open and close. Double click, X in the corner to close. Double click, Alt F4 to close. A couple of tips for you folks. Double click on that line to make it bigger or smaller, or you can use that. All right, so your home folder also contains hidden files and folders. As I pointed out, I've been using a lot of file managers over the years, so I'm going to resize this on the fly and talk about this key right here, Control H. You'll find that Control H works in a lot of file managers for Linux, and it displays hidden files and folders. So Control H it is. So I manually created that folder called .icons. On some systems, when you click themes, it generates this folder automatically. This is where I installed the mouse pointer called Radioactive, this yellow one. I can install 100 more if I like, different kinds of mouse pointers. So let me point out something to you if you're not aware of this. A lot of people aren't for Linux distros. Mouse pointers are normally installed in two different locations. The ones for the system-wide, which is this one, is installed in USR share icons. This is installed in .icons. The system knows how to pull them from either place. This one doesn't have root permissions. This one has the user SAM permissions. This one here has root permissions. User USR share icons is where that's stored, and so is this one. You need to have root permissions to add mouse cursors like Radioactive to that folder. That folder is located here, if you are curious. This folder is protected by root permissions. That's Adwaita, this mouse pointer that I'm using right now. I can install more of those in there and also in .icons. This is the simplest one to install. And that's what I've been using for my new channel lately, is just teaching people how to install them here. And in some distributions, I actually put folder themes in here, in the same folder. I've shown those videos recently. In either case, Control H shows hidden files and folders. So .icons is where you want to install your extra mouse pointers or cursors. I have different names for things. Linux is used worldwide. We have a lot of folks out there that speak multiple languages, myself included. My English is not my native language, but I've been in the United States for quite a few years. But in either case, some of the verbiage that I use sometimes is different from others. Control H, and now I'll continue. Now you've seen some of that shortcuts that I've used for resizing icons. I'm going to do the exact same thing in the web browser using the main page. I'm currently at 140%. I'm going to move my mouse pointer below this line right here. If your mouse cursor is above this line right here, if it's like that, it won't work. You have to be inside this box. Hold down your control key and scroll with your computer mouse. This will go to 30%. That's the smallest. And 500, if I scroll back up, will be the maximum. I think a lot of people appreciate being able to do something like that on the fly. Again, it won't work if I'm up here. I'm going to do the exact same thing, holding down the control key while scrolling. Nothing happens. As soon as I move my mouse pointer below that line, the system allows me to do that. Here's an interesting trick you may never have heard. I'll make this 140%, open up a new tab, click on Home Depot. I'll just say block, and I'll increase this to 260%. Click the previous tab, it's at 140%. 260%, 140%. Okay. I have some more tricks, but I'm going to stop at this point. And I'll continue now with the rest of this. So I went through Synaptic, I went through the settings manager. Again, you get some extra themes. Go onto my YouTube site, in the About section, find the gnome-look.org, go find that website. It's nonprofit. You can download some more themes, add them manually. Same thing with icons, and you can add mouse themes to your .icons folder also manually. I install all mine manually. I just installed one here for this example, but I can install dozens, and I usually do more than one at a time. But more importantly, right-clicking on your screen, create launcher if you wanted an extra one of these keys, multifunction logout screen, right-click, create launcher, type in LOG. Some of you folks know how to do this. Click that one, click create twice, once, twice, you're done. Now you created one of those. You can drag this anywhere on your screen. You don't really need it in the corner, you already have one. But you could right-click and open with create launcher on panel, it sends it to the corner. You don't really need that. You want to make a poor man's icon, right-click, create URL link, universal resource locator. I'm going to do one for Amazon. I'll just call it A. I don't need a comment, but comments are optional. www.amazon.com. I don't have the official icon, so I'm going to click the icon and just give it an emoji. Emojicon. How about a grin face? And create. You can do this with any website. This goes directly to Amazon. Now you have a poor man's web-based icon. Right-clicking on your screen, create folder, documents, terminal, desktop settings. These are your 4 desktops that you get by default. Right-click. Let me turn off hidden for a second. Open up pictures. Put your digital photos in here, whether you got them from your camera or downloaded that from the cloud, or download wallpapers off the internet, whichever. Right-click, set it as wallpaper. All right, menus, icons. You can resize most of these icons by just changing that number. I'm going to do a Control-C, and I'm going to crank these up to the maximum. Okay, and now I'll return them back to the default size, Control-V, which is 48. You can also eliminate the system icons. That would be anything but the A by doing this. These are normally on by default. I turn the backup drive off just not to confuse you during the video. You can also opt into changing these items. So that's right-click desktop. Also, when you right-click, I'm doing it high because I just wanted to let you see the menus. Okay, these are all the same things as you click over here. And you have an extra logout key here too. Thank you for watching, folks, and take care.